This is the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
He's throwing it toward Thornton, left corner of the end zone, caught! Touchdown New England!
The Patriots Pregame Show is your source for all the news and information before every game.
He took it to the house! Again!
Here we
and
go!
The Patriots take the lead!
With Matt Smith, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, and Tamara Brown.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
And good Sunday morning to everybody. Live from Gillette Stadium, Matt Smith alongside Paul Perillo, Mike Dussault, Tamara Brown. Is Week 5. We're getting excited to kick it off as the New England Patriots will host the Miami Dolphins in a key AFC East division game. And welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Week 5, big game, beautiful conditions, about 66 degrees. Didn't see many clouds in the sky. Don't see a lot of wind out there. This is football weather today, right?
I was literally in my head saying, it's giving fall, it's giving football.
Yes.
It is. It's what it's all about. Nice little crisp in the air, and just a great day, and like you said, Matt, a big game. I'm really kind of excited for this one. I know, in the years past, we've had big Patriots games that are AFC Championship, those kind of games, but for me, this is a really big game for the new Patriots and, what direction things are going to go next week.
Why so?
Because I think it's kind of a battle against seeing if you still have that feeling like things are building and you're able to. I think the Patriots are going to need something new today to win this game. I mean, of course, we'll get into the quarterback of it all for Miami, and that's a big X factor, but the weapons on Miami's team, we talked about it all week, that it's probably going to be a low-scoring game, and Miami has a couple pieces on offense that can quickly score and quickly change the dynamic of the game and quickly put the Patriots behind the 8 ball in the kind of game situation that they haven't really been able to climb out of for a couple years now. So it's also just, let's call it, this is kind of 31 versus 32 right now. You don't want to be the worst team in the league. You don't want to hear that next week about the Patriots can't beat a Dolphins team without their quarterback. It's a divisional game. I always put a ton of stock into that. At home. A game that, you were briefly favored for. I don't think they're favored anymore. As of this morning, I saw some reports the line has gone back to Miami. So just, really interesting game.
Tamara?
I feel like this is a gotta-have-it game. I mean, the story I feel like since I've been here is like the Patriots cannot beat Tua. Like Tua has the Patriots number. Okay, Tua's not playing today. So with that being said, I think the Patriots have a good chance. I would have loved if Jabril Peppers was playing today.
Oh, you didn't have to bring that up.
I'm sorry. What? But I was feeling pretty good about this game until that news. Because without him, without Duggar, I'm a little bit worried, but I'm still hoping that the Patriots can pull this one out.
Yeah. Tua isn't playing, Paul, but Tyreek Hill is playing. Jalen Waddle's playing. Mm-hmm. OBJ is playing.
Yeah.
They just got to get somebody to get him the ball.
Yeah, and they don't have that. I'm going to take a whole different tack. I don't look at this game with the urgency that this is, to me, it's like just another step on the rebuilding path. I think with the Patriots, what I'd like to see today, win, lose, or draw, is sort of a return to the way it looked the first 2 games as opposed to the last 2 games. Mm-hmm. Let's clean up some of the penalties. Let's clean up the turnovers and just play, the style of game that they looked like they wanted to try to play at the outset of the season. The fact of the matter is that most teams the Patriots play are going to have probably more talent on their roster on paper. Now, games aren't won on paper. I think they had more talent than Cincinnati opening week, and the Patriots were able to beat them because they played sound football. But to me, the crossroads or any of that stuff that to me is secondary to get back and play sort of sound football. Let's see some sort of progression with the offensive line. There's going to be, the 5th different combination is going to start today because David Andrews is out. So let's see if you can, mix and match. Scott Peters, what do you got? Can you at least slow down the pass rush? Now, Miami's missing their 2 best pass rushes in Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips went down last week, out for the year again. So no one wants to hear about your injury problems because everybody in the NFL is dealing with mass injury problems. So there's a lot of personnel on both sides of the ball that isn't playing. So just play back to the way that you looked in the first 2 weeks. I think that would be a positive step for Gerard Mayo and the regime.
I think that's
that.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say I like that, Paul, because I think that there has been nothing sound about this team, especially the past 2 weeks. especially with Ramondre Stevenson. I feel like he was very good that first game, and then ever since he's kind of trickled down. Now he's not even starting today. So running the ball effectively, I think, is going to be really important today. Not turning it over is going to be really important today, and it feels like a huge ask considering what we've seen the last 2 weeks, and hopefully they can turn a corner today.
Okay, I think that's a decent job of setting the table, Matt. So why don't we go to the keys of the game?
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Here are the Patriots pregame socials, keys to the game.
Paul, I think
Normally I have this in my possession, so it'll be here. in case
Right.
anybody-
Oh, wow.
Paul, I think you looked at the sheet earlier, and you preemptively stole my key to the game, which is very, very basic, and that's what it is. It's back to basics. Let's get to a return of fundamentals. Don't you think that was an emphasis or a point of emphasis this week from the coaching staff? Let's get back to blocking. Let's get back to tackling. Let's get back to setting a great edge and not doing things to beat ourselves. Let's if we can do the fundamentals things right, we got a shot here. And I think that that's what we'd like to see for the Patriots when they play the Dolphins today. Back to basic football.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like we're going to fixate on the results, and all the coaches will tell you we get it. It's a result-oriented business. It's no one necessarily cares about what you did to get there. But I go back to what Gerard said in the middle of the week about the Cincinnati win was not sustainable, playing that way. Scoring 16 points. So if they win this game today, but it's another one of those games and it's sloppy and it's great. I mean, I'd rather be 2-3 than 1-4. And that's the bottom line. But I would rather see some progress made offensively, in the passing game and whatnot, and cleaning some stuff up. Like you said, Matt, back to basics. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't make it easy for the other team. Make them work for it, and you stay out of the way in terms of being your own worst enemy.
I like that, Paul. I think especially because we've always talked about the team's formula to win being very narrow and running the ball effectively, playing tough defense, and not turning the ball over. And we haven't seen those three things happen since, week 1? So to get back to that, back to the basics, it is huge.
Your turn.
I'm next?
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies were supposed to go first, hair flip.
Wow.
But,
I missed the memo on that. I apologize. And I'm usually, opening
missed
the
the hair
doors
flip,
and ladies
too.
first.
Boom, roasted.
Okay, so my key is just keep kicking it. Just keep swimming, but I switched it. Just keep kicking it. I don't want the Patriots to get cute today in the red zone. I don't want them to go for it on 4th and 1 unless they absolutely know that they're going to get it. I think points are just so hard for this team to come by. They need to do what the Titans did with Nick Folk. He made 5 field goals. 3 of them were over 50 yards. I trust Joey Slye to be able to do that. You have a veteran kicker who is reliable. You saw that last week with his 63-yarder. So just keep kicking it. If you get down there, kick the field goal. Take the 3 points.
Well, in a game where points are going to be at a premium, I'll take it every single time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Michael?
Yeah, mine is, again, you guys, I think, were all over it. I mean, Paul's, take away the big play. Huge. I mean, Waddle, Hill, that to me is
I haven't
is
gone
I was just going to say, you just...
Oh, I thought you threw it to Paul. Oh, you just talked about yours, and then you had Paul
you just
comment
scooped
on
it.
yours.
You just scooped
I
Paul.
got it. I was
Now
confused.
no one's even
I
paying
was
attention
confused.
because they know I.
So mine is
Sources
take away the
say.
big key, the big play. No, no, I went with execute in the red zone, and maybe that should have been get to the red zone because I think that's been a bigger problem to Tamara's point with the long field goals that they might have to kick today. But for me, that's on both sides of the ball, and I'd like to look. Everything Paul said was right. We know we're rebuilding. This team is what it is. They have less talent. But I'm speaking today from a place as a fan that I don't want to lose to the Miami Dolphins. Let me go to my one.
That's your one, Fred.
With some scrub from the Ravens practice squad playing quarterback for the Dolphins. This is a divisional rival. This is a team that you should beat every year, that you need to take to the out to the woodshed. So it's a measuring stick for me. And I don't want to be in a place next week where we're talking about the Patriots can't even beat Miami without Tua now. So getting back to my key, they got to get to the red zone. They got to execute in the red zone. I think both sides of the ball, the big play, it has to start with that. But the next part of that is get to the red zone, execute in the red zone, get some touchdowns. They just haven't had the opportunities. I looked at Hunter Henry, the newly elevated captain. I think he's on the Game Day magazine today.
He is.
For him to be a big piece of that pie, getting into the red zone, scoring touchdowns. And if Miami, you're able to make them work their way down the field, stop them there, make them kick field goals, I think it'd be a good formula.
Before we get to Paul's already scooped key to the game, can I counter with you?
Yeah.
In that the other team gets paid too, who's coming off of a short week at home disappointing game for them with Snoop Hundley at quarterback. This is a team that had absolute postseason aspirations, still does have postseason aspirations because they feel they're going to get Tua back. They're angry. They're mad. And I think they're looking at a wounded Patriots team and saying, there's no reason why we don't go up there and win.
Yeah, well, probably the quarterback is one, but like you're totally right. And this is a totally I'm not saying that this is a must win because you just have this is more they can win. Miami can 100% win this game today, and I would not be surprised. I think it'll be close anyway. But I'm just saying from a more big picture kind of standpoint, if you want to feel next week like, all right, they are starting to build some things here. They're starting to improve. Let's see what they have defensively against this team. Are they able to, get some pressure on him? Two backup safeties. Marty Mapu, when was the last time he played? He's probably going to play a significant role today. Jalen Hawkins, I like him as a third safety.
Depth guy.
Those are your two guys on the back end that are going to have to make sure that two of the most explosive weapons in the game don't completely change the complexion with one or two plays. So my whole thing, my passion today just comes from a place as a fan. I want to see this team win, get on the right track, get some positive energy going again, and put this, first quarter of the season in the rearview mirror.
Well, Paul, Mike talked about the safeties, and your key again was?
Yeah, the big plays. Anytime, I've been talking about this all week, anytime that the Dolphins offense is on the field, the two best players in the game are going to be out there for Miami, and that's Waddle and Hill. And those are the two best most talented players in this game. So, in my opinion, the only way Tyler Huntley is going to beat you is if he throws, maybe 4 or 5 long balls and hits 1 or 2 of them. And that's how they score. Mm-hmm. They're not putting together 12-play drives on you. Either that or if that happens, you have far bigger problems than even I think. But if you somehow find a way to keep those guys in front of you, I expect to see a lot of Jonathan Jones on Tyreek Hill with help over the top, and Christian Gonzalez with Jalen Waddle. Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy tasks. Those guys are really good, but they don't have anybody that can consistently get them the ball. So take away the big play, and you should have that low-scoring game that you should be able to win.
Thank you.
So
Can you just allow myself to present
Paul
it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I kind of think he does. Honestly, that's, to me, is the game. I think everything right there. If you don't let them have – I don't think we'll come in here and talk about a Patriots loss without big plays from Waddle and Hill. Maybe I'm wrong, but sorry.
I just find it hard to see them getting big plays unless the Patriots are playing selfishly on defense, which, that was brought up as a topic of discussion in the locker room by Devon Godchaw, saying that some people were making business decisions and trying to make plays instead of doing what they were supposed to in the defense is what Devon said. That's the only way I see the Patriots allowing those big plays to happen, especially because last week Mike McDaniel said that was an abbreviated offense. And if that was an abbreviated offense for Snoop Huntley and they still weren't able to do anything, how much more abbreviated and easy can you make it for him against the Patriots this week so he can get those guys the ball? I don't get how much more you can dumb it down for him.
You're watching and listening to the Patriots pregame show fueled by Duncan. Here's a question for the crowd. If your team runs on their fans, what do the fans run on? When you kick off your day with Duncan, we're with you all the way to the end zone. Make a run to Duncan, official coffee run of the New England Patriots. So you guys have succinctly and correctly pointed out, prevent the big play. So Hawkins, it really is amazing to think about as you're looking at the state of the roster that Mapu and Bourne haven't played all year. They literally just got on the practice field on Wednesday, and both are going to play today.
Yeah.
That's a telling admission to the state of the roster, isn't it?
It is. Those are, two positions. I would say you haven't been banged up at wide receiver, but Kendrick Bourne's got some good energy. We'll see how much he's got right now, right out of the gate. It sounded like when he talked in the locker room this week that he was still a little bit limited and wasn't quite sure he could do everything just yet. But I like it. I'd love to get him in there. I think
I think you have to.
Yeah.
Well, they don't
not
have a
because
lot
of
of
the
choices
Patriots.
here.
Well, no, but I think when guys start on PUP, you have to miss 4 games.
Yeah.
And when they're ready to come, they should, as long as they're healthy, they should be back in the game. Just like, OBJ. The Dolphins have excellent receivers, but he's eligible to return today, so he's returning. I don't know what kind of role he'll play, Odell Beckham, but I feel it's a little concerning because I don't think of Mapu as necessarily a cover safety. I think he's more suited to play closer to the line of scrimmage as a linebacker and whatnot. You might be asking him to do something today that he's not overly comfortable with. I didn't like the way it looked last year in small sample sizes, Mike, in coverage, with Mapu.
I mean, I honestly wonder if Del Pettis might play the bigger role today, just because Mapu, I think we talked about it, Paul. I went back and looked at my notes. I think he got hurt after like the very first
he saw
practice.
very little time.
So, I mean, he didn't even get the pads. So he's practiced 3 days this week. I mean, that's kind of it. Like, he hasn't really played. So he might, I wouldn't be surprised if I mean, maybe they would scratch him, but I don't know if he'll play a lot, but they need him, so maybe they have to.
And you guys, Paul, you're talking about that you believe his comfort level lies more in the box. See, I see a scenario today where whoever's playing safety is going to be way
right.
back.
Well, that's my point. Is I don't think they don't need him as a box safety today. They need him probably back with Jalen Hawkins and Del Pettis if Mike is right and Pettis ends up playing back there. I haven't liked the way that's looked.
Right.
In the first 4 weeks of the season. So yeah, that's kind of my point. It's not ideal to have him playing a big role on the back end.
So I see those safeties deep. I think Hundley looks at the safeties deep, and we've got Mostart back this week. Let's just hand him the rock and let's pound Mostart right down the Patriots' throat. That seems to me, with a quarterback who's not that experienced, not exactly dynamic in the passing game, Mostart could be his best friend today.
Yeah, and then he had a big touchdown run against them here. Was it last year or the year before? I think last year.
Yeah.
That
I think that's an advantage
away.
for the Patriots, though, because if they can't get big plays in the passing game, they can't score. You can run Mostert all day. You ain't scoring. So that, to me, would be playing into the defense's hands. Like, I think Matt's right. I think that you're seeing probably what we're going to see. You're just talking about those safeties are going to be back. They're going to dare him to run.
Yeah.
That keeps the score down.
I'd agree, unless it's a play like that Mostert one last year, which was like a 40-yard touchdown run. Like that kind of stuff was not going to help them.
But
yeah.
You know what? But I'm talking about. I'll give him his 20 carries for 110 yards.
Sure.
Yeah, if he rips one off for 60 yards and it's a touchdown, that's a big play.
Yeah.
That's like the same as a bomb to Tyreek Hill.
And that gets back a little bit to my key to the game in the return back to basics. They've got to tackle. If they're going to play deep, they're going to dare him to run. They're going to let Mostart run. Just tackle.
I know. I think part of this too is like I'm over. Like, let's get back to basics. Let's keep walking that fine line. Like, let's just get back to no fumbles and great start, and we can do it. Like, it's not sustainable. And at some point, you have to show.
They haven't done it, Mike, in the last 2 weeks.
They haven't done it in the last 3 years. I mean, at some point, you have to start to see a semblance of an offense that can put the defense on its heels and make some big plays and punch back and not, I think if we all know if we go out there and a couple plays go the wrong way and all of a sudden it's 10-0 Miami, confidence level is going to be very low from the Patriots fans of their ability to be able to climb back into that game and make big plays and, take some punches, give some punches. So, I'd love to see something new today. It's fine if we're going to come back in here and they don't turn the ball over and they get, Miami fumbles their first possession on the 20 and New England sticks it in and it's 7-0 and, things start to roll and when you come back in here and they won 16-10 and all right, like you check the box, but do you feel great about it? Not really, but you'll take the win and you'll try to go to next week.
That's why I think it's not just good enough to just do all that stuff. They have to do something different.
Yep.
That's why they need to show some progress.
Yep.
At some point, you got to stop allowing the other team to pressure you on half of your dropbacks. That number needs to drop a little bit. You have to start making some plays with your wide receivers. That number needs to rise. Like you can no longer afford to be 32nd out of 32 in these various offensive categories. You have to start making some progress.
100%.
Michael, you said you wanted something new. I'm going to give you something new, but I don't know if you want it.
Uh-oh.
You're going to get a new starting running back today.
Yeah.
And you're going to get, for the 5th straight week, a different combination as far as the offensive line, as Scott Peters and Alex Van Pelt are looking for healthy bodies first and foremost. And next, the right combination to try to unlock, to try to get some continuity so that these jailbreaks that Paul's talking about don't happen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. Is Vidarian Logan going to be able to play? I mean, I think he trending towards that direction. Is he fully ready to go? But a lot of these guys that you're pinning all your hopes on, you still, even at 100% health, I don't know how confident I would be that they're – but it goes back to what Paul said. At some point, you have to start putting it together. And we've heard over and over from the coaches, especially when asked about the offensive line, that it will improve. It will improve. We're repping it every day. We see signs of progress. The injuries have complicated that, no question. I mean, I think we might expect to see more production and more progress had they not experienced all of those injuries. But again, like even hearing things this week of we think Michael Onwenu probably is going to be best at right guard. I'm like, really?
Wow. Really interesting nugget
That was a really interesting nugget.
in Mike Reese's notes today.
Yeah.
You know where Mike Onwenu falls in pass block win rate?
Pretty
160 out of 161.
Yeah.
So I would move him into guard too, because I've been saying this for 2 years. He's a good guard. He's just a tackle.
Yep.
Misplaced.
So at least solidify a spot. You know, I think that if listen, he might be getting beat at guard too, for all I know. But I think that I've seen Mike Onwenu play a pretty good level at right guard. So lock down one of those spots. You know, there's been a lot made of, all the different combinations. Really, we're talking about left tackle. Because the other 4 spots were the same all 4 games, right? Yeah. Now, this one's going to be different because David Andrews isn't playing. Big loss.
Set the line,
Huge.
if you would, Paul. If you put your prognosticating hat,
Today.
assuming these
For
guys,
today?
Yeah, assuming these guys are healthy, how do you see it left
Mike,
to
I'm
right?
going to need some help. I'm going to go Vidarian low.
Yep.
Low.
City So?
Maybe.
No,
Maybe.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, maybe.
Nick Leverett.
Yep.
Onwenu.
Mike Onwenu, and Trey Jacobs.
Possibly. I mean, I think it depends on City. So if he can go, he might maybe be the right guard with Onwenu at right tackle. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big way. I mean, I know that people don't want to hear. Oh, well, geez. I mean, I could really listen to a lot of shows that tell me I don't know, but I really don't know. I that's basically what it looked like on Friday, the last look we got.
Yeah.
I think when we went out for practice, so it's not ideal. But prior to this week, you had some combination basically of what you wanted from left to right. Right? It was Jordan, Andrews, Robinson, and Onwenu, and then who you wanted to play, returned when Jordan left. Last week. So you kind of had what you wanted for 4 of the 5 spots, but it's not getting better. So that's only part of the issue. The bigger part to me is they just don't have the personnel.
It's not sexy. It's not something to excite fans or anything about. But I don't know that as Mike is looking for something new on offense and a little bit more dynamic here, unless they get that settled, the rest isn't happening.
No, that's it's all connected. It's hard to pull the threads out of, where does the pass protection problem start and where does Jacoby Brissett's indecision and inability to get the ball out as quick as needed, start. So that's what you're trying to figure out right now, all those different pieces of the pie. But I think it does start with getting some offensive line stability would be great. I mean, you might be hoping for something that never comes, though. That's just how the NFL goes.
Patriots are getting ready to take on and host the Miami Dolphins here at Gillette Stadium. Massachusetts is made for everyone, for leaf peepers, corn-made strollers, regatta lovers, and any other you can think of. Come to where there's something for everyone this fall, Massachusetts, where everything is made possible. Plan your trip at visama.com. Early returns late in the week where they thought it was going to be a pretty good house today. I'm hoping for a loud crowd and that the crowd maybe brings a little juice to this place and gets behind the team to help them out, maybe a little bit over a little hurdle, something like that. That would certainly help to get a little boost from them today.
It's been a while since they've had success at home.
Yeah, it is, and
that's a trend that needs to change.
And it's probably going to be a fickle crowd. If it doesn't start well, I don't anticipate that they're going to be into it.
I agree, Mike. Especially offensively, you're going to hear calls for Drake May.
Yep.
That's one of those deals that can work the other way on you.
Yep.
Which is they need to that really brings into focus the real need for a hot start, to get them behind you and make this place a little bit more difficult for Miami to come in.
Yeah. I mean, that goes to the path, and there's part of me that would like to see them fall behind and claw back in, and win the crowd back, and those kind of things. It might be hoping for too much today, and maybe I'm putting too much on this team right now, and then they're not ready to take that half step forward. But it's just a lot every week having to say, and I'm just getting tired of it, that we can't fumble. We need a good start. We need to finish well. We need to play well around halftime. We have to have good possessions and not give them extra points through, shoddy calls and stopping the clock and all that kind of stuff. It's just, there's so many boxes to check every week. It's exhausting that, there it is. And as soon as one pops their head up, I'm sure I'm with the fans where it feels like it's going to be hard for them to overcome this. They've got 2 turnovers in the first half, that kind of thing.
Well, here's a fan that's trying to bring a little sunshine into the equation here, and it's a nice sunny day here at Gillette Stadium. Good morning, all. Is it possible that the past 2 weeks have looked bad because we've gone against 2 of the better teams in the NFL, the Jets and the Niners? We're not perfect, but their rosters are arguably in the top 5 of the NFL regarding talent. I think we overreacted after week 1, but now are we also reacting after the last 2 weeks? What do you think, says Kyle from Danvers?
I mean, personally, I put more weight in the games as teams start to figure out what you're doing, and they build on it. You know, hang your hat on the first week when you got a dejected Bengals squad that didn't really seem ready to go out of the gate. You know, whereas now, where the Jets, they know you really well, they see what you're starting to do. You really didn't have any answers for them. Then you didn't really have any answers for San Francisco either. So that goes back to what I've been saying. I think they need to show a different gear today. They need to change it up and you know, show that they can evolve as a team rather than it seems like right now teams have a beat on what they're doing and are exploiting it. And they're going to have to do it without their real personnel. Peppers and Duggar, it's a huge losses.
Tamara, you were going to opine.
From that Jets game 1, I don't think the Jets are good. Like looking at what we're looking at right now, I don't think that they're very good. I think to Deuce's point, I think that the teams know the Patriots, and I also think that the Patriots try to get cute against both of those teams and do things that they weren't really strong at. I think they went away from their basics. They went away from what went well for them in week 1 and week 2 because they were trying to pass the ball more, whether that be because the wide receivers were pouting or, you know, they wanted to get the passing game going. I just don't think that they should do that right off the bat. I think they should get the running game going first, then try to get the passing game going because that's their bread and butter. They've gotten away from that since week 1 and week 2, in my opinion.
Paul head coach Gerard Mayo said on Patriots All Access that Ramondre Stevenson would not start, but he would play in the game. If you're looking for something different, and that's Antonio Gibson, what do you see as different that he can do? Do you see more of that wide zone stretch run that plays into his favor, maybe, that they try to lean on?
Yeah, I do. I think he gives you a little bit more explosiveness. He's not as good a running back as Ramondre Stevenson, so I don't want people to think I'm trying to like put down Stevenson because he's struggling with the ball security. But I do think he's a different kind of runner, Gibson is. And he's been very productive on a per-touch basis so far. Mm-hmm. In the 4 games, he's really maximized his opportunities. So I think he's earned more touches. But I also, and I don't want to, this is going to sound bad, but he's got fumbling issues in his career. And he's one of those guys that the more he sort of gets used, the more opportunities that he's had to slip up. So I wonder if he's one of those utility guys. Matt, you're an old baseball guy like me. I call him the Jeff Fry guys.
250 at bats.
The more they play, the less effective they can be. So I'm a little concerned about that. But I think Mayo has made absolutely the right call in making a change because at some point you have to do something different. And I think when you have 4 games in a row losing the ball, you gotta send a message.
When Mayo himself preaches ball security is job security, how can he look at the team without doing this? I mean, that's what I think Gerard Mayo is doing in this case.
Yeah.
What's the ideal touches for Gibson then, Paul, if you to make the Jeff Fry comp?
Well, I'm just for today. It would be like 20. I think that's what he should take the Stevenson role to me, which is 20 touches. But
is that
I wouldn't want to do that to him every week.
Got it.
No, I would also, Matt, I would like to see Hasty a little bit more. I know we did see him
change of pace
more last week.
I like the idea, Tamara.
Yeah, he's shifty. He's small. I think he runs differently than both of them as well. So maybe increasing his playing time more. I think I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Is it a committee approach maybe that they take today?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I wonder if an opportunity exists for Ramondre where Gibson and maybe Hasty kind of get things started, and maybe in the second half they have a little bit of a lead and they're looking to run the game out, and now it's a little scary to put the ball in Ramondre's hands when you have maybe a 1-score lead and you're looking at a guy with fumble issues, but could be an opportunity for him, some big runs, some big first downs like we saw at the end of that Cincinnati game. He was a huge key.
Okay, this is right up my alley because I think it's up Paul's alley. Don't sleep on Snoop. He is not a scrub, Mike. I think he's a less accurate, more athletic Tyrod Taylor. I realize that's not great,
yeah, that's
but don't be surprised when he makes some plays and looks better than you think. Thanks, Travis from West Virginia.
Yeah. All right. No, I was in a rant, so maybe I was a little harsh.
I'm not a big
scrub, but
I'm not a big
is.
Tyler Huntley fan. He's 3-7 as a starter, and most of those starts were with an absolutely loaded team that he couldn't win with. So, I'm not a believer.
Let's get the inside scoop on Snoop as we go behind enemy lines.
You know the view from New England. But what about the view from the other side?
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Oh, yeah?
I was on with you guys in 2018, Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
And I was told I was the favorite guest of the show.
Nope.
No.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
My God, it's coming right for us!
And we are pleased to be joined by Travis Wingfield from MiamiDolphins.com. Good morning, Travis, and give us an update on what the mood of the Miami Dolphins is as they enter Gillette Stadium today. Big AFC East battle.
Yeah, I think you guys kind of teased it off the top there talking about the Snoop scoop. That's kind of where it all comes back to, because this Dolphins operation for the last 3 years has been very, very good with Tua Tagovailoa in the lineup. And without him, we're talking XFL-level performances.
Oof.
So if he can, I think last week there was some meat on the bone, if you will, in that Monday night game. And I think he looked like a quarterback that was, in a new offense for the first time, having been there for a couple of weeks only. And so I think that the mood is, or at least the temperament that I picked up was, we think we can be better now that he has a game worth of tape in his experience with the Dolphins here, and hopefully hit some of those near misses they had in the game on Monday.
What do you sense, Travis, the confidence level is with like Tyreek and with Waddle, going back into another game? You said there's maybe reason for optimism here after getting the game under his belt, getting a full week of practice, and maybe settling in a little bit?
Yeah, I haven't seen those guys as frustrated as they were together as they were really in that Monday game. That probably stems off of the Seahawks game as well, which, I used to come on these shows with you guys last year, and I was pretty cocky. This offense was fun to watch, and I would tell you guys, 30 points is kind of the floor for this offense, and it kind of was for the most part. But times have certainly changed, and I think that it's hitting everybody differently, and those two star receivers especially, who, I think about this for athletes all the time. Like, these guys have such a small shelf life of NFL experience, and they're only going to have 10, maybe 15 years for the best guys that can stay around that long. They don't want to go through a season where they have less than 1,000 yards and just a couple of touchdowns. I think they're feeling it. They're feeling the heat of their normal production not being what it is, which is kind of what makes them who they are, right? So I think that there is frustration there, and if it continues today going into the bye week, I think it could be a real problem snowballing forward if they don't, because they're not going to have an answer at quarterback until at least the Cardinals game in Week 8. So I think it's important for them to get on track here very soon.
And Travis, I was wondering about the running game, because that was something that the Patriots had trouble stopping, I feel like, in previous years, not just the dynamic duo of Waddle and Hill, but also Raheem Mostert, who obviously, he's been battling some issues. But even in that Monday night game, the Miami Dolphins running game wasn't great. I was thinking maybe they can get the running game going and then their passing game could get going, but that seems to be struggling too.
Yeah, it's a great point, because you would think that going back to, the backup quarterback situation, that's when everybody else has to be better, and what better way to support your quarterback than to have a strong running game. Excuse me. And the Dolphins just haven't had that all year. Really going back to when Tua was in the lineup, too. I mean, they ran the ball well in the first half of the Buffalo game, but I go back to something that Mike McDaniel said earlier this week in a press conference where, he's kind of been on this, I don't want to say crusade, but I've just heard it so many times in press conferences where he talks about this offense being one that creates overplay. That's why they want to run those wide zone stretch runs that get the defense, horizontally stretched out, and then take advantage of the overplay of those linebackers trying to get to that second level on the perimeter. And McDaniel said this week he hasn't done a good enough job as a play caller of taking advantage of that overplay. And when you watch the tape, there is so much room on inside runs, and the Dolphins have been successful between the tackles this year, whether it's been Devon Achane, whether it's been Jalen Wright, or even Jeff Wilson here and there, and they just cannot get the ball off the edge. And to me, that's a symptom of teams knowing what this offense wants to be, running the ball off the edge. And they've had the success inside, but they go away from it. And they haven't been consistent going back to it over and over again. Make teams prove they can stop it before you go away from it, and they just haven't done that all year long.
Travis, you talked a little bit about the frustration level that's starting. How do you feel? Is this kind of maybe like a sort of a last roundup in, this is a game that they feel like they need to have and then head into the bye? Do you think they're still mentally in it overall, especially those two dynamic wideouts?
Yeah, I think from the players' perspective, I think they do a good job of staying in it, for the most part, because we've seen this before. Football seasons are so long and so much can change, and teams can be one thing for the first month and then pivot who they are. Obviously, for Miami, it's different because you haven't had that proven success without Tua in the lineup. But I do think this is almost like a drop-dead situation here because 1-4 going into the bye, if you don't win this one, you go into the Colts after the bye week, and that's not a bad team either, I don't think. And if you can't beat them 1-5 when Tua is eligible to come off the IR, what's the real incentive there to bring him back and risk further damage or further injury or maybe even mess up your draft pick for next year? I don't know. It's a very tough spot for Dolphins fans right now, one they haven't been in for a long time. And it's not a welcome feeling at all in terms of, like, do they want to go forward and press on for a playoff spot, or is it time to kind of reset the decks here and go backwards? So I think that this one, if you don't get this one, it kind of opens up that other possibility of, are we trade deadline sellers compared to if they get this one, maybe they can regroup with the bye week and try to squeak out another one against the Colts next week, and then you get Tua back. It could change the landscape for sure.
I want to ask you just about Jalen Phillips going on IR, another knee injury for him. How do you see the Dolphins attacking the Patriots' edges, and do you see Chop Robinson playing a role?
Yeah, brutal injury first off, just because Jalen Phillips is Mr. Miami in terms of his impact in the community down here, and one of the best people I've ever met in my life. He's an absolute gem and a guy that's well wide beyond his years, so really sucks to see him go down for the second straight year. But as far as replacing him on the field, Emmanuel Ogbah has been a guy that they brought in mid-training camp, and without him, they wouldn't have survived. Just the rep count off the edge with Phillips coming back off the Achilles last year. And to your point, Chop has struggled so far, especially in rundown situations where they're trying to get him out there to kind of develop his full game, opposed to being what maybe could have been, with Phillips out there, with Shaq Barrett, who retired before the year started, and with Bradley Chubb, on the mend coming back here soon. Maybe he plays more of a, kind of like an Alden Smith type of role for the Niners back in the day when he was a rookie there with that great pass rush where he just came in on third downs and got after the quarterback. But he's been asked to get out there on rundowns, and he lets guys into his chest. He kind of gets washed off the line a lot. So if the Patriots want to run the ball, 44's had a real rough time stopping it so far this year.
Travis, you paint an interesting picture of a Miami team that might be desperate as they come here to Foxborough. Give us a pick, please, sir.
Man. These were more fun to do last year, I'll tell you that.
Well, you had Hardy calling you Travis Wingfield III last year, if you recall, too.
Yeah, the lacrosse.
Yes.
The lacrosse comparison, River Craycraft, that was good stuff. I said on my podcast, after going through so many years of bad offense and watching bad offense across the league, it's kind of been, percolating through for like half the league now, especially the last couple of years. You guys know this all too well.
Sadly.
It was so nice not be part of that group, but now I feel like the Dolphins are right back in that group, and when I see a team like that, I can't forecast more than like a 13-9 game. So that's why I said in the podcast was Patriots 13, Dolphins 9. I'm not taking the Dolphins to score points until they show me they can do it without Tua.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes a lot of sense. Very, very smart pick right there. You might hear that later in the show if anyone's listening.
Keeping score at home. Travis, thank you very much for your expertise. Appreciate the call and enjoy the game today. Thank you so much, sir.
Anytime. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks, Travis. That's funny. It's not like I picked
great minds, right?
It's not like it's 24-21, 13-9.
No. And
that's exactly my pick, Matt, by the way.
And by the way, he sounded like Deuce Jr. there talking about desperation.
And I want to jump on it. I want to jump on it because he's talking about, they lose this game, they might be talking about sellers at the sellers at the market. So you just have an opportunity to send another divisional franchise into a little bit more of a tailspin. And I just think you have to take advantage of those opportunities. And, at the end of the year, we might look back and, maybe the Patriots do win 13-9 and it's really, nothing all that special, but it still matters to beat conference or division opponents at home. It's just, I think that is the first road to get into the playoffs.
Without question. Okay, there are a few certainties in life: death, taxes, and Pat from Agawam is the first caller for the Patriots pregame show fueled by Duncan. Pat, thanks for your patience and waiting for us. Good morning, sir.
Not a problem. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Patty.
I think another key to this game is going to be getting pressure on Snoop Huntley, because he can't. I mean, he may be trash, he may suck, but if you give him enough time in the pocket and just let him keep throwing darts down the field, then eventually he's going to find Waddle or Tyreek Hill, and to me that's a no-go. You can't let that happen. You got to get pressure on this guy, and that's my big key. Unfortunately, I'm picking the Patriots to lose 10-9 today. Oof. I hope I'm wrong, but it's going to be. I like everyone says, I think it's going to be a rock fight. It's going to be a hard game to watch, and ultimately, I hope I'm wrong. And that's all I got, guys.
Hope you are too, Pat, because that would cause a lot of Patriot fans to hit the sauce, maybe. And speaking of the sauce, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. 10-9 would not be fun for Patriot fans today.
That was Fred-esque.
Yeah.
A little harsh maybe on, like, I'm not trying to tell you that Snoop Hundley is Joe Montana, but, I mean, he is a Pro Bowl quarterback, Mike.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
I mean, I don't know if
He made the Pro Bowl one year.
No, he didn't make the Pro Bowl.
He was
sent
as an
to
alternate.
the
I
Pro
know.
Bowl in Mac Jones-like fashion.
Right.
There's a difference.
No, I know there is. Come on.
You go
Paul.
to the Pro Bowl
Give me a
now.
little- give me a little
He's a
tongue in
terrible.
cheek.
I'm like, he's
Little
been
tongue in cheek,
terrible.
please.
Now, listen, I
You're
just,
asking me for more sarcasm.
I'm going to say this.
giving you
I'm going to say
sarcasm.
this up front. I was very dismissive of Geno Smith
Right.
heading into week
Yeah.
2. Geno Smith is Aaron Rodgers by comparison to
100%.
Tyler Huntley.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Maybe Tyler Huntley will do the same thing to me and make me look bad. I wouldn't necessarily be looking to get a lot of pressure on him. I would see what he can do from the pocket, and I would try to contain him.
Yeah.
And that's been an issue for
been a huge issue.
for 3 straight weeks. I would not want him to be running around because I think he can hurt you with his legs a little bit. But let's see him pick you apart from the pocket. I don't think he can do it. And I think he's going to throw a couple up, and you got to make sure that you don't let any of those guys behind you. And you can't give, especially Tyreek Hill, that much space, period, because it doesn't need to be a bomb for him to take it to the house.
He can take a hitch and go the whole way.
Do you think maybe, I was thinking of this, and I definitely see the pushback on no on this, but do you think there's any chance we see Jonathan Jones at some safety today? And instead of putting him up at the line with Hill where he could lose early, you trust Jonathan Jones. You know he knows what defenses to get guys in. He's a communicator. I think that could be something, not the whole game, but at time. We've seen him play some safety. I think that might be better use of him. If we talk about putting a safety over the top, gives him a little bit of an easier matchup against
I think
Hill.
that's a really good point. I thought about it earlier today. I think when DeMarcus Covington and Gerard Mayo talk about being multiple and things like that, like especially for a guy with less experience in Huntley, mix things up. Give him something different to look at. Move people around and things like that.
Yeah, I'd say just too. I'm 100% with Paul on the keep him in the pocket. Same kind of thing. Make him beat you through from the pocket.
Yeah, I don't want. I think that the chances of their athletes are better than your athletes. So if you get him out of the pocket because you pressured him and he escapes, now it's their athletes against yours in space.
Yep.
I don't like that.
Yep.
So we've talked about Ramondre Stevenson being told that they're not going to put up with fumbling. Do you think anything happens on the defensive end where they have repeatedly been asking people on the edge to set the edge, and might we see a guy like Keon White be put in different spots because that edge hasn't been set?
Well, I think with Keon White, it's a learning process with him. I think he's a little bit of a bull in the china shop when you put him on the edge, and there's a little bit more responsibility, whereas I think he's been outstanding on the inside. I mean, I've seen enough now with guards inside. I've seen enough guards be like, oh, crap, this guy's a lot to handle. And I love that from Keon White. The more they can get him in that role, I just think it's when, like Paul talked about, the mush rush and being able to maintain that pocket integrity without opening up a seam for that quarterback to squirt out of. Those are the things I think you got to see from Keon White. I would say, too, O'Shane Mathis was promoted from the practice squad, so another edge guy maybe in the mix as a third down pass rusher, perhaps.
Here's a sarcastic email for you, Michael. It's Al from Italy. Dear Mike, I know what the new thing the Patriots need to win. It's called talent. They should try it sometimes.
Well, yeah, but it is what it is right now. So, I get the bigger point of, but talent doesn't always win these games, and that's why I think it's, a little bit of an interesting reflection today where you have two of the most elite weapons in the game on offense for Miami, and you've heard Paul say many times they don't have the quarterback who can get it to them. So sometimes these NFL teams are playing whack-a-mole, and I understand the point. You need talent, but I also want to see a team effort. And, of course, it starts with not beating yourself and those kind of things. But I think you could find a Patriots team maybe today that has a little juice, that wants to prove some people wrong and wants to come out and play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And maybe they can – I think they're better than what they've shown. I think Kendrick Bourne, I don't know how ready he is to go, but I think he's going to provide a nice little boost today.
Who has the biggest chip on their shoulder? An underperforming Miami Dolphin team that expects to be in the postseason, or an underperforming New England Patriots team, both 1-3 teams who really needs to try to get back to basics and do something to get this fan base behind them?
Yeah, I think – like if you have Super Bowl aspirations and things are going like they're going for the Miami Dolphins right now, I think it's a little bit more of a mental beatdown because you had such lofty expectations and you're not playing up to that level. Whereas, the Patriots, certainly no one expected them to be Super Bowl contenders this year. But I just kind of look at it in the concept of today's game where both these teams are at. the schedule comes out. We all talk about what each game's going to mean. And, you couldn't have drawn this up in the offseason. You couldn't have drawn up, the Dolphins are going to be without Tua. The Patriots are going to have these injuries, X, Y, Z. So there's plenty of questions. And I think you're right. Like, Miami is a little bit more probably disappointed right now. But that's no reason why the Patriots can't rise up and make them even more disappointed and send them into you want to send them into an organizational tailspin. I mean, I don't know if that today is possibly going to do that in week 5 of the of the season. There's a long way to go.
Interesting that Travis hinted at that, though.
But that's what he said at, and that's
right.
Like Miami, the Jets, Buffalo. Those are the 3 teams. You have to beat those teams to make the playoffs. That's where it all starts. And anytime you have a chance, I mean, the Jets, they're looking a little shaky right now. They're down 17-7. We know Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play forever. So, is there a world where Aaron Rodgers is going to retire not too long? Miami might be blowing things up if you can help them along that process. And then maybe it's the Patriots and Buffalo down the road. Like, you don't know. But any chance you have to kind of kick a divisional opponent down, I think you got to take advantage of it.
We've gone 45 minutes, Mike, and surprisingly have yet to touch on the quarterback issue. So Micah from South Dakota helps us along in that regard, who says, I saw a report from NBC Sports Boston on X this morning that Drake May is, quote, close to becoming the starter, end quote. I'm not sure how much stock you put into the claim, but if it's true and if Jacoby plays bad to start this game today, do you think there's a chance that Jacoby gets benched and May gets his first real NFL action?
I'm not so quite sure today. Injuries, of course, are another matter. And I think you saw plenty of stats today about Jacoby Brissett. I think he's taken 15 sacks. And, he's on a historical rate of getting hit and getting sacked. And that's just not sustainable. I mean, even if he's able to avoid major injury, he is still going to continue to get banged up. I think everybody has seen him over the last few weeks multiple times where he's gotten hit, and you're like, this one might be bad. Like, he's wincing. He's looking, and he gets up. And that's, everyone is giving him well-deserved praise for his toughness and being able to take those hits. I don't know about the reports. I mean, it seems sometimes you're just getting these little, they're throwing you little bones here and there of like, well, no, this week was really great behind the scenes. Trust us. I want to believe it. I mean, we saw Drake May all summer. I think he's got a ton of talent. There's no reason why a 21-year-old kid with limited starts in college can't really start to make dramatic improvements as a professional athlete. So I'm hopeful, and I think I would just say to the fans, like, for those who didn't, get to see as much as we got to see during training camp, it's fun. It's fun to watch this kid. He's not afraid to put the ball downfield, and certainly the pressure and all those things are issues to be concerned about for a young quarterback, and getting his head pummeled in. You don't want to do that, but I think he's got some ability that will help him not only escape some of those problems, but also help the team do things they need to do.
I think they're getting close. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think this week is the week, but we can't predict what's going to happen during the game.
Yeah. The center issue, the center thing's big to me. I mean, if David Andrews was in there, I think I'd be a little bit more like, whenever it has to happen, it has to happen. I wouldn't be opposed to getting through this week and seeing how things are. And I mean, I say this as somebody, when I, went back and watched the game again this week, it was, I feel like Jacoby Brissett isn't doing all that he can do. And there's guys there, and there's more that this offense can do despite some of the pressure issues and some of the other issues that have haunted them. So I want to see Jacoby start to take advantage of some of those plays, because if it's just going to be kind of nothing, like no bad plays, no good plays, Drake's going to be in there sooner than later.
And I think this is a big week for Jacoby because of that.
Yep.
Ian writes in, at what point is demoting Mondre just simply not worth it? You want to send a message, but it's also clear he's the better back. At what point is this an effort to impose some consequences for mistakes that only yields diminishing returns and just ultimately cost you a game you absolutely must win?
Yeah, I think there's a line. I mean, it's about accountability, though, and we've said it all this week. You can't go around saying ball security is job security unless you're too valuable, and then, whatever. I don't think it has to be a dramatic, he's inactive for the game, anything like that. But I do think that letting him get a little bit of a delayed start and bringing him in the second, third quarter, those kind of things, I think there's definitely going to be a role for Ramondre today. I think, the punishment almost feels a little cursory. The real punishment is you're out, but you can't do that. I think he'll play a role today.
You mentioned Inactives, and it's that time. The Patriots Pregame Show is brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned, because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Inactive time means it's Tamara Brown time, who joins us from the field. What do you got, Tamara?
What I've got for you are the inactives for the New England Patriots. Notably, KJ Osborne and Javon Baker are out, which means you can expect probably that Kendrick Bourne is going to be playing a lot today. the excitement that he brings to this team. AVP talked about it all week. He said having them out there on the field, you can feel his energy in the huddles, you can feel his energy on the field. And when talking to Kendrick Bourne in the locker room, he said he is confident he can bring some help to this team who, as we know, really needs a bolt of energy to add to this Patriots offense.
Happy to see that Anthony Jennings, Mike, Tamara is not on that list. I hate to say that, we're putting all of our stock in Anthony Jennings to set the edge, but I think he was sorely missed last week in San Francisco, and I look at that as a really good sign, Tamara, that he's up this week.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good sign for this Patriots defense, who was already without Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers. They can't afford to have any more people out, especially up front, because if that front seven can get pressure on the quarterback today, that could lead to some takeaways for the secondary. I think DeMarcus Covington said this over and over again throughout the week. It's a marriage. The front seven and the secondary, it's a marriage together, and if that front seven can get going, then the secondary can also have some success too.
I don't know how much of a surprise this is as you look at the inactives list. Somebody's got to be the odd man out if Kendrick Bourne is back in, but I guess maybe I'm a little surprised that it's a healthy scratch in KJ Osborne.
Not healthy. He was on the injury report this week.
Not healthy.
Okay. He was. I didn't think he actually practiced. He was out there for practices, but he wasn't participating at all, according to the reports. Yep. Tamara, just curious.
One thing I do want to point out too. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
Mike. One thing I do want to point out, too, is it's good to see that Vidarian Lowe is not on this list. I know this Patriots offensive line is really banged up, so if they could have someone to rotate in and out with Trey Jacobs, that would be great, just so that he doesn't have to rely on him. I know last week, AVP said that he wore the sombrero, and I brought my own sombrero out here today. He said that Trey Jacobs wore the sombrero last week. He had a big responsibility going up against Nick Bosa. This week, I think the sombrero wearer of this offensive line is going to be Nick Leverett. Replacing David Andrews at center is a huge responsibility, not just from his experience, but also his leadership and his ability with communication, his chemistry with Jacoby Brissett as well. It's going to be a big shoes to fill. So if I had to pick a sombrero wearer this week, it's going to be center Nick Leverett.
I think I heard some cheers when the sombrero went on.
I do. The crowd's going crazy.
Yeah.
I know you got to leave it on, Tamara. Tamara, I gotta ask you one more question though. In true Fred Kirsch fashion, what is the mood like out there? Here, as I'm assuming guys are going through t-shirt warm-ups right now.
The mood seems to be the Patriots fans are really happy that they are back at home. I'm seeing lots of fans lined up, ready to receive autographs, and on the field. Kendrick Bourne, like I mentioned earlier, that energy that AVP talked about that he brought to the practice field, I'm seeing it during T-shirt warm-ups right now. I'm seeing him, I'm seeing Polk, I'm seeing Tyquan Thornton, all dancing around, excited to be warming up out here together today. So I'm feeling a bolt of energy, not just from the stands, but on the field as well.
Very good. Good job on the inactives, Tamara. Thank you very much. I just wanted to clarify one thing when I talked about Osborne.
Yeah.
I know he's on the injury report. My guess is if he was a real contributing part of the rotation, that I think they would have found a place for KJ Osborne. And I think, with Bourne coming back, it's a numbers game that you got to get rid of.
Yeah.
And he's been a disappointment, I think, so far through 4 games.
Yeah, he has. I mean, it's, few plays, few moments throughout the summer, I would say. But he's, like a lot of the receivers, I feel like trouble just stacking days and stacking consistency and kind of earning that trust. You saw Jalen Polk last week with 7 targets. I mean, those things speak to me that they're seeing things. They want to try to get Jalen Polk the ball. I think he's a real good player. And I when I look at Bourne and Polk and Douglas, that trio, that's a really good trio, I think. And that's something I think to build around going forward in the future. We can talk about, getting maybe that big piece on the outside. But to me, a player like Jalen Polk who can just got a quick shiftiness to him. He's not long speed. He's, it's not like the speed jumps off the page. And I know a lot of people, want to see that, but I think he is. You're starting to see the right chemistry. And if Kendrick Bourne's able to come back with his explosive kind of run after catch ability, I mean, he was on pace for a career year last year. Hard to expect him to pick right back up where that pace was. Last point I would just say is Javon Baker, who Alex Van Pelt said this week, we're just looking for him to get consistent and understand where to line up. And so it sounds like Javon Baker is, having some little struggles getting, fully assimilated, but he's got all the physical talent in the world. So something to watch with him going forward if he's able to develop.
We're 90 minutes or under the 90-minute mark before the Patriots host the Miami Dolphins here at Gillette Stadium. We'll take a break. You're watching and listening to the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Dunkin'.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
And we welcome you back inside the Gillette Stadium studios as the Patriots get ready to host the Miami Dolphins today in a key AFC East matchup. A reminder that the Patriots pregame show is fueled by Duncan, and also that Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots, and they're proud to partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. Back to the phones, and we go to Floyd in Michigan, who's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Floyd.
Good morning, sir. I have a question, and the question is, who do you have confidence in? I'm going to name 5 individuals from the Patriot organization: Robert Kraft, Gerard Mayo, Elliott Wolf, Alex Van Pelt, DeMarcus Covington. Again, the question is, who do you have confidence in? You can pick as many as you want. You don't have to pick anybody at all. Thank you for taking my call.
Oof. Do you have confidence in the person who signed your check?
I do.
I do. I do. Because of demonstrated ability.
Right.
30 years of ownership.
I mean,
so let's cross that one off the list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to start handing out votes of no confidence after 4 games.
Of course not. It's silly.
You know, especially.
And thank you for the call, Floyd.
with the ownership of the team, who, you know, I think has built this up into one of the model franchises. So, look, it's been bumpy early on for the team, and I think we all probably expected it to be a little bit bumpy for a new team looking to turn over the whole operation essentially from what had been here for over 20 years. So. Look, that's why I have a lot invested in this game. I understand people are, you know, get fired up. Wins, losses, they want to see it go the right way. And I think today is just a good chance to, you know, look, it's not going to redefine the season when they win Week 5 and beat Miami without Tua. But at the same time, we know what the conversations are going to be like if they win next week or if they lose. And I'd much rather have those conversations about losing going on down in Miami than here in New England, where, all right, we lost a couple games. We found a way to right the ship, and we managed to get a win against a divisional opponent.
Ditto. Todd from North Carolina, you're next on the Patriots pregame social, fueled by Duncan.
You know, guys, there's been lots of talk about why we've been holding back, but I think that we've got lots of examples of where things go wrong with Tua, Bryce Young, Andrew Luck, even Mac. So I'm kind of glad that they're holding back on him and they're not putting him out there right away. I think that's the right thing to do. So I want to hear what you guys think and pick it up here. Thanks, guys.
It's an unpopular fan opinion.
What
voiced
went wrong
there
with
by
Andrew Luck?
Todd.
I think he got hurt.
What, in year 8? What went wrong with Tua?
I think he got concussed.
In year 6.
Right.
5. Whatever.
There's no way
6.
to do it. There's no step path or anything. So you have to follow how it unfolds for your specific team.
I'm going to challenge someone.
To a fight?
I want someone to give me an example of a career-ending injury that took place when a guy was a rookie. Like, Joe Burrow tearing his ACL did not derail Joe Burrow's career. Like, this whole fear of injury kind of drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, guys get hurt.
In some ways.
Guys get hurt every year. Quarterbacks. Last year, I believe they set a record for the most amount of starting quarterbacks that played in the NFL. Were they all rookies? Was it all Anthony Richardson? Like, if Anthony Richardson's good, the fact that he hurt his shoulder in his 4th career start is not going to be no one's going to remember that. They played him too soon. Look what happened. He hurt his shoulder. He's got an owie in week 4. Like, if he can't play, he can't play. Which, to Matt's point, kind of looks like there might be some questions about how good he is.
Right.
Just don't put me in the camp. If you don't think that Drake May is ready to play, don't play him. But the fear of injury is not even on my radar.
I think that it's the irony to me of the whole Joe Burrow thing was that his injury enabled them to get him the number 1 weapon that they needed to get Jamar Chase. So sometimes it works out.
Well, they would have got that anyway. I mean, they would have
gotten him.
They had like 1 win 12 weeks into the season or something like that when he got hurt.
They were that bad with Joe Burrow in his 2nd year?
Yeah.
No, his 1st year. That was his rookie year.
Oh.
They were terrible. I think they might have won 3 games his rookie year, something like that.
Sean in Virginia, you're next on the Patriots pregame social. Good morning, Sean. Sean. No go. Let's go to Kendall in North Carolina. Kendall, you're next on the Patriots pregame social. Good morning, Kendall. It's a rare 0 for 2 there, Mr. Morrell. Kendall, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. Hey, how you guys doing?
Good morning, Kendall. How are you, sir?
All right. I'm sitting here watching the Jets and Vikings game right now. I want to know.
I'm sorry.
What y'all think what y'all think the depth chart is going to be today for the wide receivers? Like, who you think it's going to be? Pop? Do you think we're going to ease Bourne back in, or do you think it's going to be Pop, Polk, and Thornton to start, or either Pop, Polk, and Booty? I don't think they're just going to throw Bourne out there right away. What y'all think?
Good question, Kendall, and I think Mike Dussault had that kind of nailed before we went to the break. Mike, repeat who you think that threesome is going to look like today.
Well, I mean, I said
from a snap standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if Bourne led the team in snaps, but I think he'll play a role. I think all 5 of those guys will play. I think when you're eventually, man, the point I was trying to make earlier was Bourne, Polk, Douglas, good trio to start with, in the future, and maybe not necessarily ready to go 100% today, but I'd probably still expect Thornton to get the start, and you just ease Bourne in, ease him in. You have some specific plays, and you draw it up how you want to get him the ball. Yeah.
I mean, what y'all think? I mean, I know we say a lot about the offensive line and the quarterback, but I know Thornton has played all 4 games, and the fact that I know we keep saying that he ain't doing nothing, but do you think that's because of the offensive line, or maybe Brissett's not looking, or do you think it's something he's doing?
Yeah, I think
he's not getting the stat.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a little of everything. I would say it's a little on the offensive line. It's a little bit on, Jacoby hasn't been able to hit him, and it's also I don't think he's really going to be that elite player that you need him to be on the outside. Right now, it's just he's healthy. He's got some speed. He has a little bit of an element that you want to add into the construction of the offense. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm expecting him to be productive. I'd like to get Bourne in there as much as possible.
I think Bourne's going to play.
Thornton hasn't caught a pass since the Bengals game, I think.
Yeah. No, I think Bourne takes Osborne. I think that's
now 1-for-1.
To Mike's
and
point,
thank you for the call, Kendall.
If we're counting snaps, if we're counting snaps at the end of the game, I kind of agree with Mike. I don't think you'll see Bourne lead the wide receivers in snaps because I just don't think he'll have enough sort of football stamina yet to do that. But the last couple of games, it seems like early third downs go to KJ Osborne. I wouldn't be surprised to see the first third down of the game go to Kendrick Bourne today.
That's a good call.
I think that's a 1-for-1 swap.
Yep.
And I think that's one that the Patriots offense should benefit from because I think Bourne's a better player.
Did I see former NFL insider Jason Lockenfor say that the Patriots are taking calls on Tyquan Thornton?
Yes, that was reported this week that they were, which I don't
think the phone's burning.
I think
the phone lines are burning there.
No, I don't think. I think that's why they're giving it to Jason Lockenfor, probably putting it out there.
Wow.
Mike Dussault at Deuce.com. I think that's how you can reach him.
If I were like a Kansas City,
well, they're in the wide receiver market,
or a Buffalo, someone that doesn't have any depth at receiver, I'd take a flyer.
Go get Devontae.
I mean,
Adams.
I'm not going to give anything. Well, wow.
Thornton,
he's
Devontae Adams.
He's a little persnickety today, no?
He is.
Mike,
I'm on edge.
Mike's on edge.
Yes. I think I'm on edge.
I know that Matt keeps billing this as a key AFC East battle about 1-3, 1-3. Guys, you shouldn't be on edge.
It's a key AFC East battle. Come on, now, Paul.
Even if the Patriots win this, they're like,
no, I know. For last. No, I know, and I'm still like, again, it's like I just want to check the box of a win. Like it's not even unless something completely unexpected happens and the Patriots offense scores a bunch of points and it's like, oh my God, like then I'll come in here and be like, this is amazing. Like I just want to come in here and be like, you did your job, you got it done. Maybe showed a couple new things. I'm not asking for too much, but yeah, I'm fired up today.
When we ask who's got the bigger chip on their shoulder between the Patriots and the Dolphins, maybe it's Deuce.
Might be so.
It is me.
David in Madrid, Spain emails that there's been a lot of rumors about starting Owenu at right guard. If this is the case, who would the right tackle be with Wallace on IR? Hope we win today. Go Pats, says David from Madrid, Spain.
Yeah, it'd be Trey Jacobs. They'd start him on the left side. They'd probably swing him over to the right. Vidarian Lowe, he's active, so we'll see how much he plays. I mean, we've seen the last couple of weeks, guys are active, but they're still banged up. They're working through stuff.
And I would say a little nugget also that came out of the Scott Peters availability this week. I thought he went out of his way a little bit to give a little goose to Jacobs about that. Yes or no? Like terrible position to put in. A guy off the practice squad. He's barely been with the organization. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to introduce you to Nick Bosa,
right.
In the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
That kid hung in.
Yeah, Van
It
Pelt.
wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? I think they like the fight maybe in the kid and the willingness to try to learn.
Yeah.
And so maybe they see something that they can work with there. It's a physical specimen.
Yeah, Alex Van Pelt was, very complimentary of him too and grateful. This is what it's about though. This is opportunities pop up in the NFL and you never know when your opportunity is going to come, whether you're Tom Brady, as the backup quarterback or you're, Trey Jacobs who gets cut from a team and gets signed to, by the Patriots week one. I mean, I think over the last, 20 years, this probably happened a handful of times or so where the Patriots grab somebody, that you don't really, the whole offseason, you're not spending any time talking about this guy. And then all of a sudden, they come in and end up being a contributor. And that's what they need from, like, one of these tackles to just step up and lock down a spot. I mean, and if Jacobs were to play right tackle today and play well, like, maybe that opens up some options to put Onwenu back inside. And, you're not getting David Andrews back this year. So that's something they're going to have to work around no matter what.
All right, Matt, let's go to over-unders. What do you think?
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
Look who's in first place once again.
Okay, so last week, Paul 5-1, Matt 3-3, Mike 2-4. Season standings: No Socks continues to set the pace at 15-9, followed by me at 14-10, and Mike 10-14.
Man, I'm terrible.
So we'll give you the first opportunity to try to crawl your way out of it, Mike.
All right.
With a first half spread of the Patriots at a half a point.
Yeah, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take Patriots lead at halftime. I think it's critical, and yeah, I'll take the Patriots on that one.
Do you believe in a fast start, Michael? That we're going to see one today.
I don't really feel confident in anything, but I hope so.
Okay, I'll join you in that first half spread, Paul.
Yeah, I'll take the Patriots to have the lead at the half today.
Okay,
well.
Total sacks by a Patriots defense 1.5.
I will take the over on that. I feel like scrambling quarterbacks tend to get sacked. So there'll be a couple of running around and not being able to get back to the line of scrimmage for Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, I'll go over 2.
I'm going to go under because I don't think, again, where's it coming from, number one? And I think you're going to have to fall into some sacks in order for that to happen. So maybe just to be different, I'll go under. The longest touchdown yards, which has been a favorite by DraftKings. That's a good one that you pull out of there, Matt. Longest touchdown yards, 30.5. Paul, 30.5.
30.5, longest touchdown. This has been
this is the game. I feel like this is the game.
This has been a sneaky over.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the season.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like out of nowhere.
DK.
I'm gonna continue it. I'm gonna say over. I hit on it last week. I'm gonna see if it happens again.
Mike?
Crap. I mean, it's easy to say yes with the safeties out. I mean, it's easy to say yes, but I'm going to say no.
Can be a run, too, Mike.
Yeah, and again, I'm with Paul, and it's been a sneaky over. I'm going to go with the over. Again, these numbers brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Next up, wow, what a number. Total first quarter points, 6.5. 6.5, Michael.
Is there a touchdown? I think there is. I'll go over.
Yeah, I'm going to go under on that. Both of these teams have had a terrible time scoring early in games.
Then I think I'll go over on that just to be different. Again, total field goals made 3.5, and I like the over on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the over on that one.
This is a kicker game today. This is a kicker game, and as I think there was some discussion early on when Tamara was with us, if you got a shot and you're inside there within field goal range, let it go.
Just first down. Just kick it.
I'm going to take the over, too. Based on my score, I kind of have to.
Okay. And then last but not least, 36.5. How could anyone in their right mind go over on this one? I can't imagine. Of course, now that I say they will.
There are such things as pick sixes.
Yeah. So I would take the under on that because we're challenged on offense, both teams in this game. Paul?
I'm going to take the under also.
Mike?
I was trying to see if I should make up some ground here, but I'm not crazy. I want to take the under, too.
Right.
Right.
Have we seen a trend develop with two challenged offenses to begin with, right?
Challenged. Like that. They're not bad. They're just challenged.
Well, the only thing, and you keep kind of reminding me of this, Mike, is like, wow, the Jets are really, really getting bored in London. My God. The Vikings seem to have one play, and that's to hope that they call a penalty on a secondary member for the Jets.
When throwing in the vicinity of Jefferson.
The ability that Miami has to be explosive is sticking out to me, and like I could see them, all of a sudden Huntley makes a couple of plays, here or there, or they crease a run or something. They have the ability to put some points on the board, and I'm not sure the Patriots have that same opportunity.
Yeah.
Very fair point. Back to the phones. Let's go to Phil in Coventry, Rhode Island. Phil, good afternoon almost. You're on the Patriots Pregame Social fueled by Duncan. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Great. How are you?
Hey, Phil.
Good. I was just curious. I don't know how much can actually be proven, if you will, but I was under the impression that the Patriots tried to trade up in the draft, and that just no teams would trade with them. You guys know anything about that, or because everyone's saying, like, why didn't you get a left tackle, et cetera, et cetera?
Well,
And I'll take it off the air.
That's a good question, Phil, and I think you're right about that. If you're talking about specifically, Paul, at the end of the first round.
Yeah, but from what I've been told, it was not for a left tackle. It was for a wide receiver.
Correct.
I believe they had their eyes on
Xavier
Leggett.
In Kansas City.
From Xavier Leggett.
The kid from Carolina?
From Carolina.
Okay.
And I'm not going to end his career. He's gotten off to a slow start, but that's Carolina, and they had the Bryce Young situation the first couple of weeks and whatnot. But that's according to some of the stories that I've heard, nothing concrete or anything. That's what I've been led to believe.
I just say with that guy's accent, he belongs in the South. Like, he belongs where it will be appreciated fully. I don't know if you guys have heard him talk, but he's got like the ideal. I mean, I guess we kind of have Keyshawn Boutte a little bit. It's
Xavier
got the Creole, like the Creole accent, but he's got a great accent.
As somebody I know who might be on their fantasy team, I think he made a little boost last week. I think he had more targets, more catches.
Yeah,
I think
it makes sense with Dalton, playing
out.
and Thielen getting hurt, so it opened up some opportunities.
Yep.
Okay, so now that the inactives are out, Mike, let's go back to it seems like it's a weekly occurrence for us to set the table. But what do you think the offensive line is going to look like here, left to right, as they get ready to play today?
I'll roll the dice with Vidarian Lowe, Michael Jordan, Leverett, Onwenu, and Jacobs out at right tackle.
Okay, and so Paul, I'll ask you this. So played for the first time last week after battling some injury problems. Mike's got Jordan instead of So.
Oh, yeah. I think that's kind of in place.
Has he surpassed him maybe on the depth chart?
I don't know what the depth chart was or is, but he opened the season as the starter at left tackle, and I think he played pretty well until he got hurt, Jordan.
Left guard.
Yeah, left guard, sorry.
Yep.
And my only question would be, do they want either Jordan or So, do they want to put him at right guard and then keep Onwenu at tackle? That to me is the one thing in the back of my mind. Based on Friday, we looked like we saw Onwenu slide inside. So that's why I think Mike's projection is the one I would probably pick.
Yeah.
As I flip coins. I really
know.
like,
No,
and I know it sounds like awful analysis, but I don't have any kind of definitive.
Because Leighton Robinson's banged up. Michael Jordan is, he's still recovering. Even Stiddy So is still recovering. So it's hard to parse out. I would probably guess that even the line that starts, there's probably going to be a little bit of rotation in just to trying to get, spread out the reps a little bit.
Yeah.
Lucas in Maine writes in, "Hey guys, I was just wondering why we haven't tried out Javon Baker yet. We need weapons. I've barely seen him out there. I do understand that Jacoby probably can't get it there, but I'm just hoping to see something." Mike, I think you touched on this earlier in the show. It's a
basics.
He's a rookie. It's a maturity, learning on the job. You get KB back this week. I think that naturally bumps Baker off.
Yeah, that's what Alex Van Pelt said this week. Just pointing out, getting the basics down, understanding everything. Javon Baker, I thought, had a pretty good start to camp, and it seemed like Drake was more than willing to chuck the ball to him. And I think he caught a couple passes early, and then in the games late, they couldn't connect. He had some drops. And then it just kind of felt like he fell off after that and was less in the mix and, just seemed like he was fighting it a little bit. And so now they've gone behind the scenes and, this is what we're hearing is he's still kind of working on the baseline. It's a little bit disappointing, I'm not going to lie, with, how badly they need a guy. I think Paul would agree, with
his
in camp,
yes.
He moves a little different. He has a little shake to him. The hands were inconsistent, and that was, probably where Boutte made the team, and that's where Boutte's going to have a chance to be successful today. I thought, Boutte's biggest strength was his hands, so maybe he's able to, contribute a little bit in a rotational role today.
Yeah, and they opted to put two of those receivers out.
Right.
Bourne came back, and they have two on the inactive list. So I think Mike is right. It was Van Pelt, I think. I know it was. Yeah. Was it Mayo? It was Van Pelt, right?
It was Van Pelt, yeah.
Not a lot of he didn't rip them by any means, but in terms of coaches talking about players, that was pretty pointed.
Yeah.
Assignments, routes,
attention to detail.
Attention to detail, and
back
knowing what you're doing.
Back to basics, and if they're going to forego a guy who's got that kind of talent, to me it tells me they got.
I'm not sure how much talent he has either.
Okay.
Like, I mean, he's.
I'm not trying to tell you that he's Jerry Rice.
I thought he really flashed like the first week of camp. I think Mike just. So, I mean, I don't have to repeat everything Mike just said. I thought he really flashed the first week of camp and has steadily gone downhill since.
Yeah.
All right, Eldred from North Carolina, you're next in the Patriots pregame show fueled by Duncan. Good afternoon, Eldred.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing today?
Hey, Great. How about you?
There we go.
I forgot I'm at work.
Come on.
So I didn't hear that discussion right there, but I heard first the caller before that. I'm worried about asking about Taekwon too. Is he just ain't just lazy with the speed, or Jacoby can't get him the ball, or whatever? And I take that off the air too. Thank y'all.
Thank you
Hope
for the
we
call
win today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the call, Eldred. The enigma that is Taekwon Thornton, Mike.
He got as much chance as he's going to get this summer. I think we saw, the best we've seen of him, and it still just wasn't enough. And I think Paul's got a good kind of point of view on him that I agree with. It's very long and skinny, and it's hard to get sudden change of direction out of him. And I think he has improved, and he's gotten a little stronger. I think those things were apparent in training camp this year, but it just, a handful of catches through training camp, it's not enough to go into an NFL season and be productive. And obviously, I would be curious, if when Drake finally gets in there, if that opens anything up with Taekwon Thornton. I wouldn't really hope so. I wouldn't really pound the lectern and say this is going to happen, but it would be interesting just to see Drake May has that willingness to chuck the ball down the field if he ever developed a chemistry with Thornton. But I haven't seen it from him as a player.
And I haven't, I've seen some plays where Polk looks like he's, coming open across the field, or Demario Douglas is, quick little out at the sticks. I haven't seen a lot of plays with Taekwon Thornton where I watched and I was like, oh, he flashed right there.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't have enough time to get him the ball. I mean, I think it might be time. I think it might be time to just say, wasn't a great pick.
That's and that was my point to go to. I mean, I think once Bourne is healthy, that's the three. Bourne, Polk, and Douglas.
I'm not here to just dump on Thornton, but we're in year 3, and have we seen what Taekwon Thornton is, at least in this program?
Yes.
I mean, he bulked up a little bit, to his credit. Looked a little bit bigger this year when he came into camp. Some certain positive signs there, but I think he is what he is.
Yeah.
And I can understand if Lackenfora is right and says they're taking phone calls for him, or they're, if there's some interest. He might be a candidate for a change of scenery.
Yeah, and I mean, I would just, I would contrast him a little bit to Jalen Polk, who, not to write home of, Polk downfield stuff, but he just caught a lot of balls. He's just consistent. He's out there. You always see him. You always, he always catches your eye. And it's I don't know how many of these first 3 games I've been did Thornton play today?
Right.
He like Paul said, he never catches your eye. He never really, he was open there. There's never really any of that. And even going back to the summer in practice, it was, spotty here and there. Whereas, Polk would catch some balls just about every practice. You always kind of were aware of him being in practice, but Thornton just unfortunately has the ability to go invisible, and I think that's a bad sign.
I just don't see much of him in the games.
Yeah.
I don't think he shows up in practice. 3 straight training camps, I think he's been fine.
No.
Just don't see that translate to the games.
And I think, the first game against Cincinnati, there was a couple of non-Thornton plays. We had a little dig inside and another out, and you go, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe now he's going to become a part of the offense. But certainly with all the other issues that are going on offensively, he seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, no, and that's why I think, Bourne coming back at the right time. Certain points, start of summer, you're like, man, we got Juju on the roster, and Jalen Reagor and all these kind of names, and I think as the dust has settled, you see there's 3 guys.
The loaded wide receiver room.
The loaded wide receiver room.
Remember that one?
We've slowly descended to, but I think they have 3 pretty good guys who are going to be under contract for the next few years. So work with them, work to build them. No question, there needs to be an element of explosiveness added to that group, but I think when you look at the quickness of Douglas and maybe some of the run after catch and versatility of Bourne and some of the toughness in the hands of Polk, you're painting a pretty good spectrum of receivers. But again, we all know You need the big dog that draws some of the coverage, and then all of a sudden, all these other guys are able to eat a little bit more.
And this guy's not the big dog, but I am an unabashed Kendrick Bourne fan. I think that this team that sometimes maybe lacks a little bit of energy, I think you heard the coaching staff talk about the energy that he brought to the practice field this week. What's fair to expect from Kendrick Bourne this week? Does he play? How much do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think he definitely plays. I think 20 snaps, something like that, like half to maybe 2/3. If you're feeling crazy, I think
he's got to be an option on third downs.
Yeah, I think
he's
got
to be an option on third down.
You
know, and the Patriots have really struggled on third down offense. Miami is, I think, among the leaders, if not number one, on third down defense. They need something to change. They need, and I think that he might. I agree with Mike. You're not going to ask him to go out and play 65 plays. I don't think that's realistic, but you can lean on him in some big spots.
But you said, Paul, and maybe I hope I listened to you correctly, but you said he's been on PUP, he's been working out, he's conceivably in shape.
Yeah, that's not football shape.
Understood.
Though.
I understood.
He hasn't played football since last November.
So you think it's you've got to, I don't know if ease in is the right phrase, but you can't give him a full load, maybe is what you're saying.
Yeah. I just think it's unrealistic to expect him to go out and play every snap. I think you could ask, I mean, they rotate the receivers a lot, but like Polk and Douglas have been, full-time players. I don't think you can ask that out of, but we'll see. Maybe we've seen stranger things. But maybe all of a sudden he comes in and it's a heavier workload than you think.
I don't want to overdo it on Polk, but I think he's so far building a nice little resume for himself. The consistency seems to keep moving in the right direction, everything like that. He was not advertised as a game breaker or anything like that, but I think reliability, as we were talking about, that maybe Baker is lacking right now, Polk has that.
Yeah.
And has the confidence of the staff and the players to be put in those spots where you need to trust somebody.
Just like getting a guy who can play at that position on a rookie deal. And, we can probably get into a more nuanced discussion about, do you want more out of a guy picked in the high second round? But we'll see. I think one element we haven't really seen, and even going into training camp, something that he showed at Washington quite a few times, is just the ability to make kind of leaping catches and those kind of big
San Francisco along the sidelines.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a
even
good
though
point.
It didn't
it's
count.
Close.
I was going to say he was out of bounds.
Yeah,
yeah.
But even just the ability to hang on to that ball.
Paul, we're looking for glimpses.
For me, with the receiver core, they all get an incomplete. Like I know a lot of people they don't get open. They don't get. I don't put any of almost. Yeah. I don't want to say I don't put any of it on wide receivers because that's not fair. The passing game is so broken right now. I can't put it on Polk
hard to gauge.
And Douglas and Osborne and even Thornton. It's just so hard to gauge. Now, I have to be honest. I haven't seen what other people have seen about how good all those guys have been either. It's like an incomplete to me. It's not their fault that the quarterbacks are running for their lives. The quarterback is running for his life on virtually every drop back.
I like the incomplete grade. Johnny from Midtown writes in, guys, why do they want to be run first? In the age of passing and high scoring, why have they been intentionally run first for the past half decade? I don't know if is it half decade? I don't agree with that.
I don't know if that's true. But right now,
go back to 18.
So we had a call from Floyd. And he asked about confidence level. That's one of the things that I'm sort of skeptical about offensively. This is how they want to play. This is how Alex Van Pelt wants to run an offense. I kind of agree with that email. I don't like run first.
It's fair.
Mean you don't like run first in 2024?
Yeah, I haven't like run first since like Corey Dillon was on 2004 Patriots.
That was 2004.
Right. I know a lot of people like to point, they did this and that, they scored 40 points, in the playoffs because Tom Brady. And if you want to say, we're a little bit weak on the perimeter, with Tom Brady as your quarterback. So, we might lean a little bit more heavily on Sony Michel. Yeah, Tom Brady's your quarterback.
Right.
You think that helps Sony Michel run a little bit?
Maybe.
So I think there's some differences there. I fully admit I'm cranky when it comes to the run game. And,
Cranky Paul.
Cranky Paul comes out. It's just a way to keep the score down. We talked about this a little bit on Patriots Unfiltered, Matt, and I know that you are not a loyal listener of Patriots Unfiltered, so I'll fill you in.
Okay.
Just about the whole idea that scoring's down, and everything. And I think there's a variety of factors that come into it. And I mean, the defense is being better is on the list, but I think it's well down the list. I think they're daring people to run with these, safeties 20 yards behind the line, and teams are taking the cheese and running, and therefore they're taking points off the board because it's longer and, these time-consuming drives and whatnot, and they make you be perfect. And I think that it just requires a lot of precision on the drives. You're seeing, watching this London game today.
Tractor pull.
Yeah, it's just, these London games tend to be like this anyway. But it's just hard to sort of sustain these long drives. And you got a 20-10 game that, if not for a pick six, would look a lot different. At 13-10. And it's just kind of what the league is now.
Yeah, I'd anticipate today will be a pretty good example of this, because I'd expect the Patriots are going to say, look, we just don't want to lose on big plays, so we're going to play those two safeties deep, and if they want to run it, they can. And I think that's a big part of what the game will be today. Do they get those explosive runs, or is New England able to, even if you give up some yardage on the ground, stops in the red zone, keep the points down? That's the important part.
Those of you watching, you can see the Patriots have begun to take the field for pregame warm-ups in their blue home uniforms.
It's Mike's guy.
There he is. He's
Jalen
number one
Pope.
for a reason.
We'll get
Jalen
more
Pope,
into the.
He did hit 17 foul. He almost caught a ball down the sideline on a Hail Mary last week.
We'll get more into the pregame warm-ups.
I'm sorry. Is this another guy I like that you guys just make fun of?
Oh no, I think I'm the lone wolf on this one. I think Matt likes him.
I think there's a little bit of hope there.
I like Jalen Polk, and I went on a pretty passionate, for me, endorsement of him. I just think I like, for lack of a better term, I like the cut of his jib. I think he's tough.
Yeah.
I think he's a good physical football player. I don't know how good he's going to be. I think his high end would be someone like Tyler Boyd, who I think is a very productive,
dependable
third or fourth banana on a good team.
Yeah.
That's what but I've also seen they hit on Jalen Polk, and I feel like
4 games.
I like Jalen Polk, and I feel like I get negative when I don't want to be negative, because I'm like, what did you see? Like, he got targeted 7 times last week and caught 3 balls. And I'm supposed to have a party for that. I like what I see from Jalen Polk. I'm using the entirety of the body of work. Mike has brought this up a million times, and he's 1,000% right. Every day at training camp, it's 3, 4, 5. What a beating Aaron Rodgers has taken, by the way. Every day at training camp, it was 3, 4, 5 balls. It was Drake May throwing it to him. It was Jacoby Brissett throwing it to him. He just showed up every day, and I like those guys. Those are the guys that Bill used to say to keep an eye on. The guys that consistently, they didn't ride the wave. It wasn't up here one day, down here the next. It was a steady incline, and that's what I like about Jalen Polk. I just haven't seen this sort of, nothing to see here. He's made it. He's established himself. I haven't seen it.
And why didn't the Patriots go out and get Tyron Smith? Tyron Smith or whatever his name is.
The Vikings are doing this to everybody.
Posing as an orange cone.
And they're missing 2 starters, by the way, today.
Yeah.
But I know that the Patriots are the only team that's missing starters.
B-Flow. Bring in the pressure.
We'll continue the conversation.
B-Flow might be the coach of the year. And I'm not exaggerating. He might be the coach of the year in football.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. I'm not Evan. I don't know enough about the X's and O's. But every single team that plays them is talking either before or after the game about how crazy the scheme is that Brian Flores is coming up with. So he can't be doing it conventionally. He's got to be doing. Did you hear Brock Purdy after that game?
No.
Your scheme's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Hold that thought, Paul. We're going to take a break, and we'll return on the other side. You're watching and listening to the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Duncan.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
We are about 40 minutes till kickoff when the Patriots host the Miami Dolphins, Paul, in a key AFC East matchup.
Showdown.
They're always
key
key,
showdown.
right?
Key showdown. You're watching some of the pregame warm-ups going on here in the field, and there's a man that I hope we're going to see a lot of today, and that's Antonio Gibson, Mike.
Yeah, I thought he's been, pretty good in spurts. I was impressed with him this summer. I mean, he seems comfortable running this outside zone scheme, and he has that little burst to get out to the edge. We've seen a couple flashes of it here and there. So he's got a versatile skill set. I mean, when he came out, I think people were kind of considering maybe it to be a receiver as well. So he's an okay player. I think he might have a little bit of an impact today.
Nice little moment that we're seeing here. I'm going to assume, hopefully correctly, that that's his family that he's seeing in pregame warm-ups. And like it's not the worst thing in the world maybe to go say hi to your wife and kids before the game. And
it's like your mom. And
that's
got
a nice
little
little
guy.
moment.
Oh, getting a picture.
I like the little dude down there. Did he have a different number on? Could I see that?
I think he might have.
That looked like a 3.
Yeah.
I like it.
Maybe he's 3 years old. That was his birthday, maybe.
Yeah.
He's a cutie.
Yeah.
There's
Michael Hasty, you guys talked about him too.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see some of him. The running back by committee, Mike, we mentioned earlier.
Is that informed speculation?
No.
Not
Not
then I'm not
speculation.
expecting that then.
No.
Unless you guys have some information that you left me out of the pre-show meeting.
I think there's going to be a running back by committee kind of approach to today. Gerard said it. Stevenson's going to play. Gibson's going to start.
Stevenson's going to play, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the committee. It's going to continue. It's just going to reverse, I think. Gibson and Stevenson instead of Stevenson and Gibson.
I think that makes sense. I would say, Ramondre in the second quarter. Give first couple possessions, hopefully. They're sustained possessions, maybe.
No, he showed him.
I know. Well, that's what Paul. I think you were out when we got one of those calls. That's what's hard. It is
hard.
You can't bench him the whole game.
It's hard for me to take the snark off too. You know how I am.
I know. It's like, all right, you sat out the first quarter. Now don't fumble. You're back in.
No, listen.
Seriously though, no.
Really,
I mean
don't
it this
fumble.
time. It's been 4 straight.
I actually feel like and I said this last week, and I understand you kind of have to take some playing time away. I just don't know how that helps you hold on to the ball.
Yeah. Oh, nice pick.
Concentration that maybe now you know that your job is literally on the line.
But you don't think that last week?
I don't know.
That's
my question I was going to ask you.
Last week
so
I was holding it like Walter Payton like this.
Yeah.
And then they well, you know what? He told me I was going to get benched, so now I'm going to hold it right.
So when do you punish? Did you think?
No. I'm not. I'm saying you probably have to. You probably have to sit him down and if for nothing else, you sort of make him think about it.
Yes.
Make him clear his head a little bit. Not about holding on to the ball, but sort of alleviate the pressure and just all right, just go out and play.
You can't fine him, right? Like every time he fumbles, it's like
so it is tough.
Progressive suspension.
Yeah, I don't think it's easy, and I also think the way and the style that Stevenson runs it, it's conducive because he gets a lot of yards after initial contact, and they're digging and punching and punching and digging the whole time.
Well, you just want to avoid the ones where it's like the guy comes just unabated right into the backfield. I think that's kind of like what happened last week a little bit, where a guy got, I mean, he wasn't even out of the backfield yet, and the guy's ripping his arm back. So it'd be nice to give him a little bit of time before he has to deal with
But that was a
contact.
bad fumble. Mike.
Right. Oh, no, of course
That
it was.
was his worst fumble of the year.
Look at the newest well, no,
Yeah.
not now. That's Mike's newest crush.
Yeah.
But previous shot was the newest captain, which
what-
underrated story. We're going through captains
I
like
know.
socks.
Left and
Is
right.
that what Mayo said?
Yeah.
That's a good line.
No, that's what I just said.
Oh,
No,
what did Mayo say?
Mayo said it's
kind
like
of
the
a
Madden.
curse?
It's like the Madden cover
Madden
right
curse.
now. No.
Right. He acknowledged it.
Yeah, Hunter Henry was named to replace David Andrews as one of the offensive captains.
Correct.
And he's been a captain before.
The last year he was captain. Yep.
Yeah.
I was surprised that he wasn't a captain coming out of camp, to be honest.
Looking at new fan favorite kicker Joey Sly, he likes wearing those shirts, showing those guns off.
Hey,
doesn't
if
he?
you got him, flaunt him, right,
He
Joey?
likes those guns.
The guy's got a leg. He should be showing off that leg. I mean, he said, what did he say last week? He thought he could hit from 70. I mean, it's the right time to get a guy who's got some range, because as the offense has struggled, that's what you need.
There's a man that there's going to be a lot of expected of today, Nick Leverett at center, filling in for David Andrews. I think he performed admirably last week.
Yeah.
For a guy who might have struggled a
No
little bit.
major issues. I didn't.
No.
That I could
And
see
I
it
hope
from
he didn't put
the
the-
layman.
Yeah, and Andrews, missed some time in the preseason. I think he had
Well,
like
he was
a
on a pitch
personal
count,
issue,
don't
and then
you
he was
think?
also on a pitch count. And
Right.
we saw Nick Leverett in there a little bit, and that was part of some of those really bad days of practice where there were snap issues and bad snaps and laps and all that kind of stuff. But it was great not to see it last week. Just being in the locker room around Leverett a little bit, and probably nothing surprising about offensive linemen. Usually those guys are pretty personable, but he's a funny guy, personable guy, and seems to be embracing this opportunity that he has with Andrews going down.
And don't you think the veteran presence of having a guy like that in the middle can help, maybe you hope, solidify where there's some questions on either side of him?
Well, it's certainly better than Brian Hudson, who they called up, who's
Yep.
an undrafted rookie and didn't spend camp with the Patriots. So he's the backup center right now. They did say some positive things about him this week as well in the press conferences. But yeah, it's a tough position, as Tamara said during the inactives. We know how much goes on the center in this offense to make the line calls and call the protections out and all that stuff. So big opportunity here for Leverett to rise up and have a good game and kind of say, all right, that spot's going to be okay this year without Andrews.
Well, just saw seconds ago, number 0 on your scoreboard. Christian Gonzalez, a lot will be expected of him today with the Fleet Miami wide receivers. Let's go back to the phone lines. It's about a half an hour on the East Coast before we kick things off between the Patriots and the Dolphins. Chad from the West Coast joins us next. Chad, hello. You're part of the Patriots Pregame Social fueled by Duncan. Good afternoon.
Hey, guys. Thanks for my call. My question is in regard to David Andrews going out. You guys mentioned that you didn't want May going in if he didn't have a veteran center. I think maybe a couple weeks ago on Unfiltered, and I wanted to know your take on that because I think you've changed. You want to see May.
No, so what I said was I didn't want the
David
first
Andrews?
game that the new center played to be with Drake May. Once Nick Leverett plays a little bit and he's comfortable, that's fine. That's no longer an issue for me. But like today, I think it makes a little sense. If that I don't think it had anything to do with their thought process. But for me, it would make some sense if they're like, we got a new center trying to get his things down for the first time with a new quarterback. That's too much new. Yeah. Let's do it, maybe, after a week or two where Leverett is, presumably more comfortable.
Yeah.
You're looking at your screen, the winner of the Ron Burton Community Service Award, Special Team Guru Brendan Schooler. Might we see Special Team Guru Brendan Schooler gulp as part of your defensive game plan at safety, Mike?
I think it's a possibility because we saw more of him at safety this summer than ever seen him before. And Jarrod Mayo talked about it this summer when you run into injury issues and have problems. I think that definitely how they're figuring out how to play it all out. How do you feel? Schooler's been in the league a few years, mostly special teams, though. How do you match him up versus like Adele Pettis, who's been a safety but was an undrafted rookie, and we know how much experience he has. Same with Mapu, as we've talked about. I mean, he's barely played. He's barely practiced in over a year. So, yeah, a lot of questions. Also seeing O'Shawn Mathis here, who got called up, and think it's Jaquelin Roy was promoted to the active
Instead of,
roster.
Hill.
Jaquelin
Roy. Thank you for correcting me. But yeah, another defensive lineman in the mix. We'll see how we.
Mike, you're the
fits in.
draft guy. Can you recall? Is it fair to put you on the spot to ask? Did you look at Schooler at all as a defensive back coming out of Texas?
No, I did not. If I did, if it said special team standout, I probably would have. I would have been more likely to ping my radar at that level, because he just doesn't look like a safety. You know, to me, like he doesn't really look like.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't play much defense in college, right?
Yeah. He was a receiver for a while. I mean, he's kind of like one of those Slater guys. Didn't have a true obvious position or role in the NFL, and I mean, credit to him, he's carved one out though.
Okay, as we're getting ready to wind things down here a little bit, Matt, how about let's go for the Sunday six-pack, please.
This is the Sunday six-pack, so kick back and listen to my position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack. Get it mixed, Jack. I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday six-pack.
All right, so last week was kind of a mediocre week for everybody. Mike 3-2-1, Paul 2-3-1, and Matt 1-4-1.
Who doesn't gamble and why on that list? I wonder who.
So I don't, and I'm going to speak for Mike and say he doesn't either.
That's right.
Because we can't.
I like
right.
my job.
So season standings are very mediocre, but Matt continues to set the pace both with the over-unders and the six-pack, 12-11-1.
Have you noticed those numbers going down every single week, Paul? I have.
Followed by Mike, 11-12-1, and Paul, 10-13-1.
Have you ever heard of beginner's luck at the
Oh,
beginning?
sorry.
Yeah.
It was 11-11-1 for Matt, 10-12 and 11-11-2 for Matt, 10-12-2 for Mike, and 9-13-2 for me.
Okay.
Got it.
Those are the updated. Because as you know, experienced listeners know, the originals on the sheet are quite often incorrect when Matt does it without asking.
They were real off today.
Okay.
So those are the updated standings.
And Paul, you've got the numbers, so I'm going to let you chime in, please, as we set the table for the games, and we begin at 1 o'clock. This is a real big game for one of these teams for sure, and that's the Ravens on the road at Cincinnati. Might be a must-win game for Cincinnati. What's the spread, please, Paul?
Yeah, the Ravens by 2.
Want to follow with a pick?
I have to make the pick first.
I'll go
first.
I'll go. I'm going to take the Ravens. Cincinnati slide continues.
I will jump on the Ravens bandwagon there as well, Mike.
I'm in last place, so Bengals it is.
Does that affect your picks,
Wow,
really?
you're already doing
You're going
that,
to base your picks
Week
on
5?
the standings, huh? Week 5?
No, I'm picking the Bengals.
Okay. Should be an interesting one. The other 1 o'clock game here is another AFC East team, the AFC East leader, Buffalo Bills, 3-1, go to the 3-1 Houston Texans. And what's the line?
Buffalo is favored by 1, and I do go first on this one because this is the second game.
Okay.
I am going to take Buffalo on the road to bounce back after a tough week last week.
I'm with you on the Bills. I like the Bills in Houston.
Houston's actually favored by 1.
Yeah.
You said Buffalo.
Oh, sorry. Houston by 1.
Yeah, I'll take Buffalo +1 too.
So it's 3 of us across the board, all on the Bills, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. 4 o'clock. A key AFC West game, Paul, when the Vegas Raiders
Perfect.
go to the Denver Broncos, a battle of 2-2 teams. What's the spread, please, Paul?
Denver by 3.
That's you, Matt.
And no Devontae Adams. The Devontae Adams sweepstakes will percolate next week as his Jets are losing right now, but have just scored to get back into the game. I think Denver at home wins that game. What's the line, Paul?
3.
I like Denver to cover that.
I'm going to go addition by subtraction for some reason. I'll take Las Vegas on the road.
Yeah, I don't think either one of these teams is any good, but I will take the home team, Denver Broncos, in Mile High. Okay,
the other 4 o'clock game that we have on our slate, the 2-2 Green Bay Packers are at the Rams. They're the best 1-3 team in the league. Maybe the Rams, Mike?
Maybe.
What's the spread here,
they're
Paul?
one of the banged up ones.
They're not based on who's playing. Green Bay is the road favorite by 3.
Now, Green Bay's got some issues, too, with Romeo Dobbs, apparently unhappy.
Suspended.
And I'll still take the Pack against the Rams.
I will take the Pack, too, until the Rams get somebody back. I just don't know how they find ways to win games.
And not that this is really going to matter in my selection, Paul, but what's the line?
3.
Okay.
Green Bay by 3.
I'm gonna go with the Sean McVay-led L.A. Rams in this one.
I hope you are right because I like the LAR.
Okay. Sunday Night Football. A good traditional game here if you like NFL traditions, where the 2-2 Dallas Cowboys are traveling to take on the 3-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. It's still Fields at quarterback, right?
Yep.
Wilson's getting a little bit closer, but Fields is still the quarterback.
Oh, I think Wilson's healthy.
Okay.
They're going with Fields.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say this is one right up Paul's alley because you know it's up your alley. This feels like it's Super Bowl 13.
Lynn Swan special, John Stallworth.
Super Bowl, 10.
Yep.
Rematch. What?
No,
That's when the game was a game.
I know nothing before Super Bowl 36.
That's true. You know nothing before the week 3 of 2001 season.
Right. Who's the quarterback?
Pittsburgh is favored by 2.5.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Who's up?
Crazy.
I'll kick things off.
Oh, it's actually me. Sorry.
All right.
I'm going to
Who
take.
determines that?
I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
It's like a snake.
It goes Mike, me, you. Mike, me, you.
And then goes.
It's written down on the list in front of you, Matt.
Is it really?
MPNS.
Okay. Is it really? Oh, okay. That's fair. What, you mean because of the standings? Is that the order that I should go in?
Yeah.
That's the first time anybody said something that makes sense. You know? You're talking about the snake. You know,
Wait, what is this? Where does it say this?
Mike,
saying that
Paul.
Well, that's just the standings.
I think he says it
And
that's the way
that's
it should
how
go.
Hardy always started it, with Mike, and then when Paul.
That's how Hardy used to do it, Matt. Come on.
Yeah, no.
He also used to drop a lot of calls, Matt, and you don't drop calls. So
Thank you.
Don't take.
Thank you, Paul.
You don't tell him you don't shine shoes no more.
I practiced very hard on that, Paul. So, did you already go?
I took Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see how the Steelers are favored in this game. I know everybody is dumping on Dallas, and probably rightly so. For some reason or another, maybe it's, I like Dallas in this game.
I like
Call
Dallas.
me crazy.
Yeah, I like Dallas too.
No Brandon Cooks, though, right?
No, he's on IR, I
Mount
believe.
Cooks?
Right.
Mount Cooks.
And they can't afford Devontae Adams, right? That's going to be a problem.
I mean, how do you think he's going to pay his mortgage?
Right. Well, I know when he can fly that helicopter and land it right on the practice field, that was probably a nice sign to the team, too. Which brings us to the main event. Today's 1 o'clock matchup, the key AFC East game between the Dolphins, the visiting Dolphins, and the host New England Patriots. Am I first?
You are. Let's see. Currently, it looks like Miami is favored by 1.
Actually just went up to -2.
Well, we're going to go with 1 because that's what you gave me on your little sheet here.
Wow.
It did.
It's moving up by the minute.
It just got updated.
So does this mean? No, never mind.
Okay. There isn't a lot of intel behind this pick, I'll tell you that, because there's a lot not to like about the Patriots going into this game. But I'm wearing the Patriots jersey with pride today. I think somehow, some way, New England's going to try to find a way, and they're going to get one here at home, and a much-needed victory at home that Mike Dussault articulated right out of the chute this morning.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Patriots too. I feel like a coin flip game. Big plays, gotta shut them down. But I'll take the Pats +1.
Yeah, I'm going to make it unanimous. I don't have a great feel for how either one of these teams is going to come out and play. I think there's a more than reasonable shot that Miami is not even here mentally at all. I think they're a team that had aspirations, and those have gone down the drain with Tua's concussion, and I wonder if they're going to even show up to play today. And I think there's too much there, I think, for the Patriots. They have too much in their favor. I think they win 13-9.
I got to stop you there for a second, Paul. You really think after 4 weeks that's how damaged Miami is coming into this game? That's a terrible indictment on the staff and the program.
No, I think that they feel like that they had a chance to do a lot of things, and their quarterback went down. Now, it's an indictment of their staff that they didn't have a backup quarterback.
That's fair. That's
fair.
a fair point. A fair point because
That's
Mike
fair.
White.
Mike White stinks. They'd be 1-3 with Mike White. They needed to go out and get a backup quarterback.
Okay.
And they didn't.
Derelict in their duty?
To be honest with you, as much as I've sort of been critical of Tyler Huntley, if they had just gotten him originally and he had been there the whole summer, I wouldn't feel the way I feel about him.
There you go.
That's a legitimate guy who started 10 games in the league at least. And, I don't think he's a great player, but at least he would know your offense. If they stuck with Mike White, to your point, at least he started a handful of games in the league.
Yes.
Had no success, but he the two guys to me are not going to take you where you want to go, White or Huntley, but they would make more sense than Tim Boyle. or Skylar Thompson.
But aren't all indications that they're just keeping the seat warm because Tua's coming back? Don't you think? Doesn't that seem pretty evident?
Yeah,
that
but
Tua's
like
coming back?
if he comes back and then what? Like the first time he gets sacked, is that it? I don't know. I mean, I do think he's going to come back because I think we would probably hear if he was seriously contemplating retirement. I think that would be kind of getting some energy.
He's traveled with the team. He's on the sideline. He's engaged. Looks like he's trying to help Snoop out.
So maybe to your point, if they can somehow find a way to win this game, have the bye, and then what do they have to have? 2 more games? No, 3. No, 1 more game after that because he sat Seattle, Tennessee today. Then the bye week, the next game he'd have to sit, and then he'd be eligible at least.
Yeah. I think that's their plan.
So if they could win this game, and when you kind of talk me into them having a little bit more motivation than I'm giving them.
That's why I was really surprised.
You
Come
did.
on, Matt.
You did. See, I tell people all the time, I haven't met many people in this planet that are more stubborn than I am. I'm a pretty stubborn guy. But
No,
not you. I will admit when I'm wrong. And I think you just made a very compelling case for Miami coming here with plenty of motivation.
Can I,
right?
Real quick, yes. No,
Sorry.
just Evan
I'm done
report
clearing my throat.
offensive line combination in warmups was what we said. Low, left to right, Low, Jordan, Leverett, and Wenyu, Jacobs. So it looks like that's what they're starting things off with. And it does sound like it is Mapu and Hawkins on the back end of the defense. So Marte Mapu jumping right back into an NFL game against 2 of the most explosive weapons in the game.
You're asking him to play a full load too,
It's a lot.
and that's a lot because he hasn't really done anything since the very first day at camp.
Well, he stood on, just doing the calls.
A lot of
and
mental
stuff,
reps.
Mental reps.
So, and you talk about the mental reps there. I read a quote, I think. When were the coordinators? Friday? Thursday?
Yep.
Okay.
No, coordinators were Thursday. Offensive coaches were Friday.
Okay, so Covington was quoted as saying something when asked about Mapu. He goes, this guy's been that way ever since I had him at the Shrine game.
Yeah.
He's been very, very high on him. So
he does
certainly exuded some confidence coming from DeMarcus Covington about the player.
He does give football nerd vibes a little bit. I mean, just you always hear when people talk about him, they always just kind of talk about his questions. Like that's been a theme when coaches talk about Marte Mapu. So I think he does have a high-level understanding of the game, but he just hasn't really – he's buried on the depth chart kind of last year, had some growing pains. And I think this whole conversation about how he fits, the debate rages on. Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? I mean, today he's got to be a safety. So we'll see how they deploy him. I mean, are him and Hawkins just going to be, GTFB? Back half
like
of the
that.
field?
But I think
so.
Yeah.
I think that's what it has to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And he could have all the football smarts in the world. I hope he's smart enough to know that Tyreek Hill is fast.
I will say, Mapu is fast.
Yeah.
I will say that. He runs well. I'm not telling you he runs with Tyreek Hill. I'm saying he is a fast, rangy guy. If he's on it, he should help that back end.
Mike, what was Duggar listed at coming into? Was he in the questionable listing? He didn't. There was no way he was playing
he
this
didn't
week.
practice at all.
Right.
Yeah, I think we all just.
I was surprised they had him listed as questionable, though,
Yeah.
Right,
based
so
on that.
Yeah.
How long is he out, Mike? Do you think?
I don't know.
People talked about dodging a bullet.
It's the old. He's going to be okay, but he's going to miss some time, I think is the quote.
Right.
So a couple weeks.
I think it's
probably at least.
interesting that all throughout the summer and even into the beginning of the year, when you asked Gerard Mayo, about, what position do you feel good about, Gerard? And I think he always led with the safety group, and knowing there and Captain and Duggar, Peppers, good leadership, good players and everything like that. And now you're down to a guy literally coming off the injured list to come in and play significant time for you in a game that you got to have today.
And again, in the framing of didn't practice all summer. I mean, you're literally talking like the guy had 3 practices last week, and now he's about to play in a game in his second season in the NFL. It's a lot.
And Paul, I don't know why this one sticks in my craw a little bit. So last week, no so this week. The coaching staff thinks the other guy's a better player.
I think that, and I also think that, we talk about serious, not serious. When City So went down in Washington in the preseason game, I didn't like the way it looked because it looked like a non-contact injury to me, and those can be significant. And everybody's like, you dodged the bullet, blah, blah. He missed about 6 or 7 weeks. That's a long time. That's a serious injury.
Correct.
Yep.
And I think he probably was a little rusty last week. City So.
Give him more time, maybe, you think?
Yeah, maybe give him a little more time to get a little bit healthier. And at the same time, I would say that Michael Jordan was probably the best lineman that they had out of the five games that they played.
Give me that left to right again one more time, if you would, please, Mr. Mike.
Sure, that's going to be Vidarian Lowe, Michael Jordan, Nick Leverett, Michael Onwenu, and DeMontre Jacobs on the right side.
So Big Mike's at guard.
Big Mike backing inside at guard, and now you wonder a little bit, just are they going to have a third tackle type? They're going to have another one of those guys. I mean, they did Leverett at fullback a little bit. We've seen that.
Could so be
during
your
the
extra
year.
offensive lineman in a spot duty kind of a place.
Possibly, yeah.
A lot of
How about we
offensive line
shelve
talk.
that?
Yeah, I know. I'd be
How
fine
about we
with that,
shelve
too.
that and
Yep.
try to throw the ball?
Yeah.
Patriots hosting the 1-3 Patriots hosting the 1-3 Dolphins. We're going to have you covered throughout after the game. Join us for post game, but until then, enjoy the football game, everybody.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.